From a stellar, undefeated track record to being powerful enough to potentially beat Shakur Stevenson, here's why no one can beat Gervonta Davis, and really no one has. Tank doesn't boast a 29-0 professional record for nothing now, does he? This man's remained undefeated throughout his 10-year-long boxing career, and that's not an achievement many people can boast about. And it's not just that Davis has simply won all 29 of his bouts. It's also the way he's done it. To give you a little hint, 27 of those 29 wins were through knockouts. That comes about to a 93% KO rate. Whoa! But hold on, before you get lost in the numbers, I think it's best to take a holistic look at this boxer's career, especially those championships. I mean, you can't be the best boxer in the world without any titles, can you? And our boy Gervonta over here doesn't just have one. Nope. He's previously held both the IBF and WBA super featherweight titles on 2 separate occasions. He also recently bagged the regular WBA lightweight belt, so you know this fighter's onto something. His first world title win came back in January 2017, when Davis was up against the then undefeated and reigning IBF super featherweight champ, Jose Pedraza. And on that day, Gervonta showed everyone at the Barclays Center in New York and the rest of the world just how dangerous he could be. Defeating an undefeated world champion? Get out of here! And then crushing him like Davis did. Tank threw the best punches the boxing world had seen in a long time. And in the 7th round, you could clearly see Pedraza giving in. Of course, Davis solidified his win and legacy with a classic knockout and took that title home. He claimed his second 130 pounds world title around a year later in April 2018, the WBA super featherweight title. And just like the IBF win, this one was also a crazy knockout performance. Davis was up against Jesus Queixada, and he obliterated his opponent. Gervonta's dominance was clear from the start in round 2, when he knocked Queixada down with a phenomenal left hook. And once Jesus was down, Davis kept it that way. His brutal throws against Queixada continued till the 3rd round, which saw 2 more knockdowns. And that brought the fight to an early end, with Tank emerging as a champion for the 2nd time. But even his 2 championship wins aren't as talked about as much as his sensational knockout wins are. Davis's biggest claim to boxing royalty came with his win against Leo Santa Cruz in 2020, and it's a moment that fans will never forget. The matchup was his first with PPV, and Tank made sure to leave his mark. His knockout punch went viral on social media, and everybody was talking about him. Cruz had his featherweight title on the line, and that made him an even worthier opponent to defeat. And though he tried to protect the title with his life in the early stages, he simply couldn't keep up with Gervonta. Because, as I said, this man's simply unbeatable. Davis set up the finish in the 6th round, delivering 2 left hooks to the defending champion's temple. And 1 bad left uppercut later, everyone saw Cruz falling flat on the canvas, unable to continue. But that's not where it ends. More recently, Davis was up against Ryan Garcia in one of the biggest fights of 2023 in April. And boy did he deliver. Garcia versus Davis was something that had been talked about for a long time. And it was a very important fight for both boxers. The winner of the contest would literally go on to be the face of boxing in the US. And of course, Tank proved his dominance once again. I have to say, Ryan put up a great fight, especially in the beginning. But Davis's left hook floored his opponent in only the 2nd round. Even then, Garcia didn't give up and got up before the refs count. But everyone saw how he was unable to keep up with his powerful opponent, who continued to take the lead in the fight. The fight kept going like this, till Davis delivered one of his crushing blows in the 7th round, with a brutal left to the body, knocking Garcia out. The fight was all over social media, and it even led some people to compare Gervonta's fighting style with the great Bernard Hopkins. Yep, the Bernard Hopkins, who's been one of the most successful boxers in the world for the past 3 decades, with multiple championship wins under his belt. Davis's KO win against Garcia was eerily similar to how Hopkins defeated Oscar de la Hoya almost 20 years earlier, in 2004. With a very similar punch to the stomach. And if he's being compared to one of the greats, who's to say he won't go on to be one himself? Heck, he already is. Just listen to the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, who's always been convinced of Gervonta's superiority. And he finally had the receipts to back it up after the Garcia win. Ellerby believed that Davis was always one of boxing's top pound-for-pound fighters, and I don't think anyone can challenge that. Davis is a terrific boxer, that's for sure, but more than that, like Leonard said, he's a complete boxer. The man's got all the right ingredients: skill, determination, and confidence. Everyone's seen his ability to adapt to any style he wants to, gauge his opponent's strengths and weaknesses to absolutely obliterate them. And he doesn't get nearly enough credit for it. Leonard knows that Tank is the best fighter across the 130 to 140 pounds division. There's zero doubt about that. There is not a single fighter out there who's as big as he is these days, at least in his weight class. He's a smooth, polished, and well-trained boxer who's learned from the best. I mean, Floyd Mayweather is literally his mentor. Need I say more? His punching power cannot be matched by anyone, and he showed that in his brutal win against Santa Cruz. And he's got so many more victories to boast about, even before Garcia, like those wins against Yuriorkis Gamboa and Rolando Romero. Davis's win against Gamboa in December 2019 was the ultimate display of his power and aggression, where the boxer locked down 3 knockdowns in the 2nd, 8th, and 12th rounds. Fighting against an opponent as seasoned as Gamboa was is never easy, but Gervonta sure made it seem so. He stopped his veteran competition in the last round, taking advantage of his weaknesses, especially his inability to move around the ring. He went toe-to-toe with Yuriorkis and landed some solid uppercuts on him. This showed just how good Davis's strategies are. See, he doesn't just go all in with aggressive throws. No, this Baltimore native takes his time to really assess his opponent, even if that means waiting till the 12th round to finish him with a powerful knockout. And sometimes, it may seem like his opponent has the upper hand, but it's only a matter of time before Tank can turn that around. That's what happened in his 2022 bout against Rolando, where Davis looked as though he was going to get his first loss, but he didn't. Romero put up a great fight, dominating Gervonta in the first 6 rounds. But all it took for Davis to turn the tables in his favor was one punch, and he won. But as great as his victory was, it definitely made people think, even if for a split second, that Davis could be defeated. If not by Romero, then definitely by massive boxers like Shakur Stevenson. But can he really? I don't think so, and I can prove it. There's no denying that Stevenson is an excellent boxer, boasting a 20-0 record with 10 powerful knockouts in just 5 years. That's hella impressive. He's a masterful combination artist with planned-out 4-punch sequences. Shakur has impeccable defense skills, but then again, so does Davis. Many fans say that Gervonta has one of the most underrated defense skills these days, especially that footwork. Now, Shakur knows how to use the ring space to his advantage, even when he's cornered or pinned against the ropes. His moves score him points with the judges. But if you're up against Gervonta, there's a 93% chance you're not going to get to the points part. That man can just knock you out. Plus, if he even wants a shot against Davis, he'll first have to earn a fight by proving himself in the division. After all, Davis is a top dog. You can't just fight him like that. And while both boxers have verbally abused the heck out of each other, a proper matchup might take longer than most fans think. But I think you know who'll win when it does happen. Gervonta has always been super sharp in his fights, and at this point, no one can even imagine him losing. His chin keeps him from getting knocked out, and his punches help him defeat anyone before they even try to knock him out. The only way Stevenson can win against Davis is if he can miraculously survive all 12 rounds without getting knocked out. And everyone knows that's almost impossible to achieve. But I'll let you decide what side you're going to be on. So, from being strong enough to beat down Stevenson to boasting one of the best pro records ever seen, this was why no one can beat Gervonta Tank Davis.